Moving to Australia sounds pretty good. Sunny beaches, barbecues, surfing, chill vibes, coffee catch-ups. But why do so many people leave Australia after 6 months? It's a question that might stop you from actually moving in the first place. Or maybe it'll just make you overly stressed about something that's maybe not actually applicable to you. When I first moved, uncertainty is one of the biggest questions. And adding uncertainty of why so many other people are leaving Australia doesn't help you cause. Will you have to leave? Is it worth coming just for 6 months? Hopefully this video will help put your mind at ease. Let's get stuck in. Let's be honest, the first and probably a big reason for a lot of people is the cost of living. Now let me just get this straight. It's not cheap, but it's not expensive when you compare it to other Western cultures and countries. Places like the USA or Canada or the UK. Relatively speaking, it's about the same. The key difference that we've noticed working in law and healthcare is the wages are higher, which inherently means it feels less expensive. But there is a caveat to that. Much like if you go to a hot country and you're used to living in cold climates, you adjust to the hot weather eventually. We're 12 months in, the heat feels normal now. But unfortunately, wages can work very much the same. You're used to getting paid a certain salary. Your salary goes up and very quickly you become acclimatized to the salary. It quickly adds up. The point is the lifestyle here in Southeast Queensland by design is encouraging you just to spend that little bit of extra small amounts of cash on beers with mates, going and having beach barbecues, albeit not too expensive, but if you do it too often, it can add up. The contrast to that is living in the UK, not really having much to do on weekends. For me, I drank a lot more alcohol in the UK, which meant it was expensive generally on weekends. You tend to do things a little bit more indoors, which usually means paying for an activity or going to watch a film, paying for that, or going out for a meal, and that is expensive. Another note on the cost of living, rent is going crazy. I do want to revisit this in a little bit more depth later in the video, but get this. Since 2020, the average rent price in Australia has gone up by about 36%. When you compare that with wages, which have gone up by about 15% across all of the different industries, something's not adding up. Like I said, we'll come back to this. Another big problem that I see that's very prevalent online of people that comment on the videos, you might have experienced this if you live in Australia and you're on a working holiday visa or something similar, is the fact that a lot of temporary visas for Australia actually limit you from working more than 6 months, which basically means that you might find it a little bit more difficult to get work. We'll get more into that in a second. The next thing that a lot of people worry about is visa limitations and uncertainty around immigration. Because let's be honest, most of the visas that are easily accessible to move to Australia are temporary visas. Most people, most of you that haven't moved here yet are probably thinking about the working holiday visa, which means that you get 12 months in the country. This is speaking as if I'm a Brit wanting to move to Australia. Gets you 12 months in the country and about 6 months working unless you work in specific fields like healthcare. You can have up to 3 working holiday visas. And then what do you do at the end of the 3 years? Another thing to consider is most people don't intend to move permanently, and that's okay. That's kind of why the working holiday visas are set up, but there are pathways to get off the working holiday visa. Just to make you feel a little bit better about the whole visa situation, I actually pulled a figure from Immigration Australia, and that was that only 12% of people that leave Australia that have moved here within 6 months actually leave for visa reasons, which has got to make you feel a little bit better that it's probably not going to be you. And if you are in that 12%, then I've not got any advice for you. Point is, most people choose or have the ability to move to a different, more permanent visa option. That could be things like a skills in demand visa if you get employment with someone that's willing to sponsor you. But of course, it's going to create anxiety in people. Why would you want to set up a life in a new place, a different part of the world, for some people the other side of the world, with the possibility that the government can decide that you are no longer required and they're going to send you home? From my experience, I know that healthcare workers generally have it a lot easier. If you do work in healthcare, there's probably a lot more options for you. This makes it easier for visa options so that you can stay a little bit more long term. I don't want to get too into the visa options, but I will pop a link below with more of visa information if you want to go and have a look at that. Something I said that I would come back to is the whole working holiday visa and people struggling to get work. So let's get into that a little bit. So a lot of people, and it's understandable, are coming over on working holiday visas, which means that they have 12 months to 3 years in the country, probably only 6 months working at one employer. Again, I'm going to pop a link down below for you to have a look at the terms and conditions of that 6 months. As long as your employer changes as far as your ABN, your Australian business number, then you can continue work. There is ways around it. And also for healthcare, me working as a physio, I can work up to 12 months on a working holiday visa, which was just enough time for me to get sponsorship. But it's a really big problem because you've got tradies, you've got people that work in hospitality, people that work in retail that are all want to come over, but they can't get a job because no one wants to employ someone for 6 months for them to then leave and come back. Think about it. If you were a business owner and you had a new colleague coming on and they said, look, I could probably only work here for 6 months, and then you're going to have to go out and recruit another person to do the same job that I'm doing. It's probably going to take you about 3 months to train me up to do the job. I'll do the job for 3 months and then leave. It doesn't look great. So I've got a few points to help you with that. First of all, apply for the medium to bigger companies. These are the companies that are going to be making enough money per year to want to offset a little bit of tax by paying for you to be on a more skilled visa or some kind of sponsored visa. Smaller businesses are way less likely to want to sponsor you, but also huge corporations are probably less likely to want to sponsor you because for them, they'll easily get someone else to come and fill your role. The next thing would be to look into fields of work that are really in demand. Speaking for Southeast Queensland, specifically the Gold Coast, I know Brisbane's very similar as well. Tradies are in demand, healthcare workers are in demand, anyone that works in some kind of law in demand. Property is going crazy at the minute, so if you're in property, you're doing pretty well. I'd also love to know if any of you live in Australia. Pop a comment below if you know of any other kind of businesses or sectors that are actually really high in demand at the moment, because I'm sure that will help people out there watching this video. Another thing that I've noticed is most people look on Seek and look for what jobs are on there. None of the jobs that they apply for they get, and then they kind of just give up. You need to think outside of the box a little bit, and my partner actually did this to get her job. You need to go on LinkedIn, you need to go on Google, find the businesses within the area that you want to live, and try and reach out to them directly. See if you can find the director's email, the manager's email, or even just the generic email. Send these companies an email to tell them that you're genuinely interested in work and what your intentions are in coming to Australia. If you make it very clear that you want to stay here for longer than 6 months, you want to stay here for longer than 12 months, they're going to hopefully try and support you. But also there's a lot more options and there's a lot more workplaces that are looking for people to join their company that might actually not be advertising a job. I've tried it myself, it works. Reach out to the companies directly if you're looking for work. A huge reason that people leave, and actually probably the biggest struggle that we've faced when it comes to living in Australia or living back in the UK, is family. Distance from family and social isolation definitely becomes real when you move to the other side of the world. I genuinely think one thing you can never prepare for is how you're going to feel about missing family when you move. And to be honest, it doesn't really go away. For me and for many other Brits, this is the hardest part. There is a little bit of a solution, but you've got to be smart. First of all, the easiest way, FaceTime and texting. Do it constantly, do it regularly, and don't get lazy. Keep in touch with your family and keep in touch with your friends, because that will keep you sane and it will stop you from missing them as much. Budget for going back home once a year. If you are really close to your family, then it's going to be hard. You're going to need to see them at least once a year. I've been in a fortunate position that we've been here for probably like 14, 15 months now, and I've seen my parents twice. I've seen my brother once, and we've actually got another trip planned later this year. So planning and budgeting ahead for going back home, because it's not cheap, is definitely a good idea. If you can find somewhere to rent that has at least 2 bedrooms, you won't regret it, because that means you can have family come and stay, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper just for family to book flights. I know accommodation here on the Gold Coast would cost an absolute fortune if someone was to stay for 2 weeks, but if we can accommodate family and friends, it makes it a lot easier. We've had my cousin stay, we've had my parents stay, we've had one of my partner's friends stay, and we've actually got a load more people staying this year, and they're all using the spare room, so I do not regret getting a 2-bedroom apartment. Something else that's worth considering is don't fully commit. You can move back home if you need to. You're gonna miss family, but maybe you won't miss them as much as you think. Or maybe the trade-off for living in a place that suits your lifestyle a little bit more will outweigh the pain of not being with family. Give it a go and don't let it be the deciding factor. You don't have to stay here forever. You don't have to stay anywhere forever. The option is always there to move back, and that helps a lot. It does get easier, but the guilt and the pain of leaving never really fully goes away. I've dived a little deeper into this topic of guilt and sadness when you leave family. If you want to know more about that, then go and watch this video. Hear me out. Most of what you see online about living in Australia is basically people living the dream. Another thing people often get wrong, and usually means they move back after 6 months, is the expectations of what life is like and the reality of what life is like when you move to Australia. It can sometimes be a bit skewed by social media. Put it this way, you're going to be working. You're probably going to be working 38 hours a week. You will only get 4 weeks of annual leave a year, unless you're lucky and you get maybe an extra week a year. But there is time outside of work which becomes a hell of a lot more fulfilling if you make it work. It's very easy to move here and do exactly what you did in the UK, where you wake up just before work, you go to work, you finish work, might go to the gym, probably come home, sit in front of the telly and watch Netflix. It's very easy to fall back into that. You've got to set your expectations when you move to a different country to live, that it's not a long holiday, it's just life, but in a different place. And if you're not okay with that, then maybe consider doing a bit of a travel trip rather than moving your life to another country. Don't expect Sydney to be warm and sunny year round. Don't expect to be able to breathe in Cairns if you're not used to humid weather. And don't expect Queensland to not pour so hard with rain right in front of you whilst you're driving that the road fills up with water. Basically, just watch more of my stuff, watch more of my videos, and you'll have a better understanding about what life is actually like in Australia, specifically Southeast Queensland. Do you know what? You could spend a lot of time worrying about if you're going to leave in 6 months, but for most people, for a lot of people, you were going to move back in 6 months anyway. People will come, they'll try it, they won't like it, and they'll move back home. The point is, moving to a different country will teach you things about yourself that you didn't know before. For me, that 6 months makes it worth it. You could just not move. But is not moving just a better option if you're going to regret it for the rest of your life? Or is moving for 6 months, moving back home, and knowing that it wasn't right for you, the better option? Side note, it's bloody humid today. Here's my take. Make the move. If it's 6 months, 6 years, or 60 years, I'm sure you will take something from the experience of moving that you didn't have before. If you want to keep watching more videos like this, or if you just love the sound of my voice, then you can go and watch this one here. But for now, I'll see you soon. Goodbye.